Steel City Interactive held a playtest this past weekend for Undisputed Boxing. I gave my thoughts on the fact that they are playtesting 4 months after launch in a previous video, but today I'm going to discuss the new gameplay I saw during the playtest. I only received my access quite late on into the playtest weekend, so I didn't get a great deal of hands-on time with it, but these are my thoughts from the few hours that I did get to try out the gameplay. We were asked to focus on punching and blocking, as these were the key areas of improvement, with questions about how consistent punching and blocking were. On the return form for the test, they actually asked you to list which boxers you used and which you came up against, which I thought was good attention to detail to want to know about individual fighters as opposed to just the game in general. I have to say, I really didn't notice much different with the punching. Maybe a slight improvement, but I was still seeing punches that should have connected, not registering. Look at the slow-mo of when I got knocked down as Canelo. You can clearly see I land my punch, but it didn't register, and I got one of those lousy knockdowns out of nowhere on the counter from this. This was really frustrating to see, especially since the focus on this playtest was supposed to be the improvement to the punches, and a punch that I felt should have landed didn't register, and then I was followed up with a knockdown. Even in my second bout with the CPU, you can see punches missing that should be landing. I think blocking did seem improved though. I didn't feel like I was leaking as many punches through my guard, especially earlier in the fight. As the fight goes on and your block gets weakened through power punches, I would expect some punches to then start to bleed through. Having the blocks work better did make my fight feel much more manageable to me. I was able to implement my fighting style much more effectively, without having to worry about a shot sneaking through my guard. I really struggled to get online fights during the playtest, and this is maybe due to the limited number of players with access, but when I did eventually get an online match, everything seemed okay. Although, as I previously mentioned on the channel, I haven't really been having issues others have in regards to losing SP. With such limited time, the lack of online matches, and the fact that I didn't have one go all the way to the end, I couldn't tell you if the 8th round no score issue has been fixed by Steel City Interactive, but they say that it should have been. I did manage to win all my fights, so I was happy with that, although most of them were against the computer throughout my session. Overall then, my thoughts are, this seems like another minimal improvement to the game. I've seen some others claim it's a step in the right direction, so there seems to be a consensus that things are getting better, but I'm not so sure that anyone who's already been turned off from the game will come running back with these changes. In the returns form, we were asked to grade things like how fun the playtest was, how authentic to the sport it was, how competitive the playtest felt in regards to fairness of fights and matchmaking, with a final grading on how likely you would be to recommend the game. Now, I scored most of mine around 7, which is a fair reflection on how I feel about Undisputed as a video game anyway. And it's fair for me to say as well that I actually didn't mind Undisputed after the last patch. I found enjoyment in the game anyway. I know lots of other people have been quite unhappy with it. Personally, it hasn't been too bad for me to play. I've been getting a lot more play out of the game in its current state than I ever did when it was in beta form. I prefer it to the initial launch version as well, but these little improvements that I saw in the playtest would be a worthwhile addition. With more playtest sessions supposedly on the way, it looks like this is the method that the developers are going to be using when they're looking at updating the game. So they're going to be implementing new updates but asking the community to test them out first. I'm guessing if there's a positive review from most people, those updates will then be implemented to the full game for everyone. Whereas obviously if there's a general negative reaction to a playtest, I'm assuming they will then tweak it and look to make changes. Those are my thoughts on the Undisputed playtest. Let me know yours in the comments below and go and watch this video next.